used to be reliant on Adderall. Take us back. What was the catalyst for believing you could fix your focus without drugs?
I took Adderall for 10 years, between ages 8 to 18. I grew up thinking I had a broken brain. Honestly, for the first few years taking Adderall, I had no idea that I was taking Adderall. My mom told me, hey, just take this stuff. It's your morning vitamins. All right, great. Took it. And I was just who I was. Like, I would just take my pills, do my work. I was in school. I was like a pretty normal kid. Except over time, I started to realize that on the weekends when I wasn't on Adderall, I was like, it was like a different personality, right? Because the dosage just continued to go up as I built a tolerance for this stuff. And so when I was medicated on the school days, I was like a robot. And the weekends, my friends this is a funny joke, but my young friends and I, we would say, oh yeah, Andrés is on crack. Like he's like cracked out. Cause I was like a crazy kid on the weekends and like a robot during the week. So anyway, that was my normal. I had like a split personality. That was my normal. That was my MO. And when I was in high school, I was a mediocre student at best. When it comes to subjects that I was genuinely interested in, I really did go above and beyond. And in my unique like hobbies and interests, I excelled very quickly. Like as a fisherman, like I'm an excellent fisherman. And I know that might seem like just fishing is simple. No, it's fishing. You can go. Like I would say I'm a better fisherman than I am a scientist and health coach. Like it's my number one skill. Fishing, or? I'm a fly fisherman. I'm a spear fisherman. I'm a free diver.
That's fun.
I can probably tie over 100 different knots. Wow. Like I tie my own flies, like you name it. Anyway, fishing, video games, those were my passions. I excelled on like anybody else.
What video games?
RuneScape.
Okay.
Best game in the world.
Played a lot of World of Warcraft and Dota.
Yeah. Old school RuneScape is the best game ever. That honestly saved my life. That gave me a chance to be social when I couldn't be social in person in real life, because, you know, as you move up the dose on these amphetamines, you start to become pretty anxious because, especially on Adderall XR, extended release, which is what I was taking, because you're on this amphetamine, which puts you in a sympathetic state, and your brain is so active, so like overactive, that like in my case, I developed a stutter, and that robbed me of my social life because I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to make a fool of myself. And then I wasn't sleeping. I was jacked up on amphetamines all day. So I got terrible sleep. I'd wake up and I'd take more meds. I was a robot in school. And it just completely like reinforced a very anxious personality. Anyway, that was my life for many, many years. I was doing my best during our scheduled school breaks to beef up my resume, you know, especially as I was approaching my college years. And so one summer, actually the summer going to the junior year of high school, which is the most important year, as you might know, that's when you apply to, you know, colleges, you take your standardized exams, etc. So the summer before that junior year, I had the chance to do a summer program at the University of Miami. And originally I signed up to do a class in viruses, but for whatever reason, that class didn't end up running and we got shifted into neuroscience. And so I was on a summer break. I wasn't on the medication and I was studying neuroscience in an environment that is primed for neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is this idea that you can change and upgrade your brain, that there's mechanisms built into your brain that help it grow, help it develop, make new connections, etc. And I had no idea what that meant or what that was. I had no clue. I didn't even know that it existed. I was just this kid. I had a handicapped brain and I was learning something to beef up my resume. So here I was on this campus. I wasn't on the medication. I had the chance to sleep and I had the chance to socialize with people and learn about the brain with unlimited access to the gym and the dining hall. And so I start to eat. I start to go to the gym and train. And I was still somewhat anxious, like honestly, very much so, especially in the beginning. Like I would go into the gym and I was hiding in like a little corner of the gym. From the corner of my eye, I could see these big guys like growing their muscles. And I was just like completely like, you know, intimidated. But slowly but surely,
journey. It's all of us have started there, you know?
Yeah, but dude, if you can imagine this. So I'm about 5'9". In high school, I was maybe the same height.
Yeah.
I weigh 170 pounds now. Back then I was 120 pounds. 50 pounds. I was skeletal, man. Like I was in Miami and I would wear a long sleeve shirt to school every single day to hide my skin and bones. Like my friends, at one point we were on a trampoline at a friend's house hanging out and I took my shirt off. There were 6 of us on the trampoline. All 5 of my friends stopped jumping and they just like their jaws dropped. They couldn't believe how skinny I was. It was fucked.
Just because you weren't eating because of the Adderall?
Yeah, because I was jacked up on amphetamines. I wouldn't eat at all. 0.
And you wouldn't sleep.
I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was, yeah. Anyway, so finally on this college campus, learning about this stuff, within a few weeks, I started to feel a difference in my life. I started to feel confident. I didn't realize what that felt like. I felt confident. I felt like myself. That cracked out version of me, all of a sudden I had I found like my groove. Like I felt so good. And I realized that there is literature, that there's like scientific evidence to support what was happening. Like it wasn't just like some miraculous random thing. Like there was real research supporting this. So I became obsessed. Like something you should know about people with ADD is they tend to be very obsessive about certain things. A lot of that can proliferate as like OCD, right? But typically there's certain themes, certain subjects that they become absolutely obsessed with, and they can really, they dive into unlike anybody else. And so because I had this realization and this discovery, I realized what neuroplasticity was. That's where my attention went all of a sudden. And I became like seriously obsessed. Like I went all the way into bodybuilding, for example, into nutrition, understanding how my food is supporting my brain, how movement supports the brain and endorphins and helps you feel good. I started to fall in love with psychology, and I decided, you know what, like I'm going to apply this stuff as much as I can. And even though because I have ADD and I'm on medication, I can extend the time on all of my exams, like my ACT and SAT and whatever. I was like, now that I've discovered this, I don't want to look back and think to myself, oh, I went to this school or got this job or whatever because of this medication. Like I wanted to feel like I could do it on my own, especially after I had learned this stuff. And I knew that it was technically it could be possible. So I went all in on this stuff, and that gave me the opportunity to cut off my Adderall supplementation. Unless I'm sure a lot of people tuning into this have clicked into this podcast because they're on Adderall or because they are thinking about going on Adderall or they know someone that's on Adderall, right? I think it's almost impossible to quit Adderall unless you actually support your dopaminergic center. Because if you don't support your endogenous dopamine, and if you don't sensitize your dopamine, you will have this like insane, withdrawal period. You're going to feel a craving for it. You're going to feel completely inadequate for an extended period of time until your brain, until you get your brain back. So, the fact that I was doing, and at the time I didn't realize how powerful all these habits were, they just felt like the right thing to do. And there was some literature supporting them. So I was falling in love with fitness. I was falling in love with applied physiology, falling in love with psychology, eating better, eating more, and becoming and feeling more confident, growing muscle. Within 3 months, I gained 25 pounds of muscle. I wasn't taking any SARMs or any steroids. It's just like my body was soaking all of this up finally. I went from being skeletal to gaining some muscle in a few short months, and everybody thought that I was like on steroids or something. But no, that's just how deprived I was. Anyway, that's when I first realized that this was possible. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to school and study this stuff, because I went from being a mediocre student on the highest prescribed dose of Adderall, 60 milligrams a day, XR, to quitting the medication and becoming an incredible student, placing at the 99th percentile on all my exams and getting into my dream school, the University of Miami, all through the new habits that I had incorporated and learned to appreciate because of the scientific efficacy that backed them for things like neuroplasticity. So to make a very long story short, that's what happened within a year. And I went to school to study all the things that helped me. Exercise physiology, minored in psychology, pursued a master's in an accelerated master's in applied physiology and nutrition. Unfortunately, couldn't complete it due to COVID. And now I'm doing a master's in biomedical neuroscience.
Yeah. Wow.